after being kicked out of our own screen.
Yeah, man.
YouTube definitely be tripping.
But back to Sorry to Bother You.
Okay, sorry to bother you. So it was like a slow burn with a few funny parts.
Okay.
And then when it finally, like, the afterburners kick in, it gets weird real fast. And you figure out, like, the sci-fi point of view. Like, things that you were overlooking, like, oh, this is so slow. Why did I, why, like, because the description is that it's a alternative reality or timeline of Oakland. So it's in Oakland. I love how Oakland's becoming like the epicenter of all things black. Like Black Panther started off in Oakland, and now we got this movie that's in Oakland. I'm like, I just wish black people were still living in Oakland because at this point, I heard it's not what it used to be. With the gentrifiers, barbecue Becky and all that business. And but anyhow, afterburners kick in, it gets really weird. But in its weirdness, the beauty is that it makes some very unapologetic, doesn't mince words, observations and statements about just the current state of our world and society at large.
Okay.
Like the crazy ape shit that happens in this movie is gonna have you like, what? Why? And then you go, oh. Oh. Like every time you question something in this movie, just think about what that's related to. Can you find that in your real life? Yes. 9 times. I mean, they said some stuff, but I don't want to ruin it for you. But you're like, at first, when they said some of the really strong stuff, are like, oh man, the third act of this movie, right? So third acts are usually where the movie crumbles. It's either going to make it or break it. Yeah. And the third one is when like all the weird shit really pops off. And you're just like, what is going on in this movie? And then you're like, aha. It's like dude in coming to America. Aha. So then they're gonna make some analogies. They're gonna say some shit, and you're like, no, you didn't just say that about so and so. Or you make that comparison.
Yeah.
And then you go, wait. That is kind of what, ooh, shit. Like they went there.
Okay.
This is very Degrassi movie. They go there. They go there. And while nobody likes to be preached at because it's done in such almost a ridiculous. This is like a B sci-fi movie. Okay. With greater production value. Okay. Like, what typically makes a sci-fi B movie is usually like a obviously low shoestring budget. But it's campy, but everything seems very intentional.
Yeah,
It's very intentional, and so the production is actually very high. It's very good production. Cool. Nothing's cheaply done. It's just everything's intentional, and so I was
because it definitely does get campy with the voices,
right? Oh my goodness, these voices!
And then Danny Glover's in there, which is weird.
It's weird, but it's good though. It makes sense. I love how they got because it's Keith's white voice is Patton Oswalt.
Oh, Patton Oswalt, yeah.
And then and is he? I forget. No. Okay, one's voice is that, and then there's another David Lynch or something like that, another white comedian.
Oh, okay.
And so they have white guys for each black person. You have doing the white voice, but that is not the reason why it's sci-fi. It's very Twilight Zone.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. So perfect. That would be the perfect analogy, actually. Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. Okay. The idea is that if you're familiar with, I love Twilight Zone.
I do too.
I'm even a bigger Outer Limits fan. Like I've seen both the old and new versions of Outer Limits. I've probably seen a lot of Twilight Zone, but I faithfully as an impressionable like 12-year-old watched Outer Limits, like the reboot, and then once the reboot went away, I was like, how can I get some more? And I found the old version. My mom was like, hey, there's an old version of that I used to watch. I was like, really now? Pray tell, woman, where do I find it? And so yes, I would, because the idea is, at first I was even finding myself at the maybe the first third of the movie, like being a little bored. I'm like, what is so outrageous? And it's like the freaking Twilight Zone. It's supposed to look like your world to make a point. Okay. Exactly.
Cool.
So you watch
I'm hyped. I
watch it and just like have patience with it, because that's like the whole point. But it's a slow burn before it
super slow burn
before it gets ridiculous, and then you find out why you find it to be such a super bored point is another intentional thing they meant to do. So there's a lot of things that should click in place eventually, but it is keeping it the newer school of fashion where it doesn't come off preachy.
All right, cool. Yeah. Cool. That's what's up. Well, we got one more thing.
What's the one more thing? Let me see. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. We gonna end on.
We gonna go out with a bang. This might take. Well, it shouldn't take us too much.
It'll take about 10 minutes.
We gonna give you the facts. I need to give a statement. Go ahead. Afterwards.
Afterwards.
Let's get into it. So we're big nerds. We're big comic book nerds.
Yes.
And so I don't know how to say this, put this out, but okay, so Chris Hardwick, right?
Yes.
I know a lot of Twitter people going in on this is like, this is another like, I can't believe America's like this. And then when you turn to people of color or women, they're like, we kind of always known this. So there was this feeling him vibe about Chris Hardwick that he's a bit of a douche or a big douche.
Yeah.
And so I saw a lot of that online.
But he's Chris Hardwick is the guy
founder of Nerdist.
Yeah, and he created
Nerdist podcast and built the Nerdist empire. They haven't.
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal, but he actually hasn't been in official ties with them since December 2007 because he stepped down to create his whole new vertical on his own. I mean, he still gets checked.
Yeah, he still gets. He's still the founder, so he still gets paid. But it's kind of like when Stan Lee still gets paid for, created by Stan Lee, blah, blah.
Right, exactly. Even though he doesn't actively work for Marvel anymore. So, but that's why that's such a big deal, because in the face of these allegations of his ex-girlfriend, do you know her name? Chloe
Dystra?
Dystra.
And I hope I'm not messing up her name.
She wrote pretty much a Medium articles talking about a unnamed ex that was later figured out to be Chris Hardwick, that she accused of emotional and sexual abuse. Yeah. And so due to this,
Twitter went crazy.
Twitter and the internet lit up.
Yes, it
did. Quicker than I've ever seen in my life, especially when you're talking about a white man in Hollywood that has amassed quite a bit.
At least in the nerd
nerd space, which the nerd space, remember, is a powerful space now to be in. It's never been more popular to be a nerd, and it has quite a bit of influence over what's being made in Hollywood now. So I don't think he's like ultra powerful, but he's still a powerful dude. Let me see.
All right, cool. We'll touch on that, Max. We'll touch on that in a second, Max.
Right.
He says, Me Too is developed as a movement in which people could stand up to their abusers. Now it's being used as a punitive mechanism for disgruntled parties to exact revenge.
Yeah, that's going to be part of my statement.
So we're gonna get into that in a second.
Exactly.
But now we're just trying to give y'all the lay of the land.
Like we talk about what's going on in culture, and nerd culture for us is a part of the culture. If anything, it's never been cooler to be a nerd, but it's also never been cooler to be a black nerd. Yeah. And so black it's always in, but
it's black is in because there's a certain culture that needs a culture to take from.
Well, black culture is always popping. They're always there. But
Thought Crumbs, what's up, yo? Thought Crumbs, like super dope. Prince and Sin, what's up, guys? They're like super dope. So if you guys are probably already
thought crime so much. Why don't you marry him?
Why don't you?
God. Oh my God. If I was other people, I'd be all mad.
Like, damn.
This dude, he just gets.
He didn't give me no shout outs.
No shout outs.
I came in the room.
All thought crime had to do was like walk in the room, like, hey, what's up? What's good? But so she makes the accusations. Chris Hardwick, of course, I don't want to say of course. He denies denied them. I've been trying to look up if this is like going to court or if there's anything actually she can do, because again, her accusations is that it was emotional and sexual assault. Yeah. And I'm no lawyer, but those are things that I imagine don't have a incredibly long time for you to prosecute. Yeah,
there's probably like
their relationship was from 2011 to 2014.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it takes for before something passes where you can press charges on like sexual assault or even physical assault. Like if somebody beats you up, how long do you have?
Yeah, you have a there's a term for it, and you guys in the chat know. Statute of limitations. Yeah.
Right, so we don't know what it is. So she might not have any legal thing she's able to do. But now getting into the Me Too, the idea is that you share that this is happening. Like, this happened to me. She even said that she shared it so other women know that there's other people out there. We gain strength when we know others are going through it.
Yeah.
I just want to put out that, for those, especially men, because I hear a lot of pushback. I do hear it from some women.
Okay.
And other women have names for those women, but we're not going to get to that.
Okay. I ain't supposed to know that name.
Well, no, it's a very common name. I know Black women, especially when they hear other women in general, but particularly Black women, have problematic viewpoints. They call them pick-me's.
Oh.
And they're like, well, I want to be chosen, even if it's by problematic men, more than I care or have self-respect.
Okay.
So I will take on problematic. It's just like the women. I mean, this exists in every race of woman. Like,
true.
Like, I remember seeing video of like white Southern women who were against the ERA in the, I think that was late 70s or early 80s or something, which is the Equal Rights Amendment that would literally say that men and women are equal. I don't know why that was such a hard amendment to approve, and it has not passed. It never got ratified by enough states to become law, by the way. And that's all the law was saying.
Wow.
But some women would push back and say, well, I don't believe that, and it's okay for me to like be my husband's property, or I want my husband to have domain over me, very religious women and whatnot, which is fine and dandy if that works for you. But in a country where you have the statement saying men and women are equal, that also allows you, and see, I'm one of those women who say equality means now you have freedom of choice. You can be Susie Homemaker or you can be Susie the engineer. It doesn't matter as long as you have a choice to do either.
Yeah.
You're not determined by your genitals which one you get to do. And Bob gets to be a homemaker or engineer because let's be
it's
exactly, because there's more and more guys who want to be at home, but there's a stigma about guys staying home and taking care of their children and stuff like that. Like, why aren't you out making the bacon? I'm like, no, well, my wife actually makes more money, and
so it makes sense.
It makes sense for me to stay home. It's
logical, like,
and stuff like that.
Like if Lisa got a job, like for instance, we live in LA. If Lisa gets a job in Kentucky, and they're going to pay her $250,000 a year, we're moving to Kentucky.
Right.
Exactly. It makes sense.
Exactly. And so on that note, Terry Crews came out very publicly to let him know that he is also part of Me Too. And quite a few men did on Twitter and on the internet to let him know that sexual assault and predators don't just go after women, they go after men too. The problem is this is all very swept under the rug.
Yeah.
For someone like Terry Crews to come out and say, hey, not only was he like fondled and his genitals grabbed, it wasn't even done in private. It was done at a party in front of a lot of people. Yeah. And this guy who did it to him almost dared him, like, what are you going to do about it? That's what women go through that all the time. and apparently so do a lot of men. So that's the idea of the Me Too idea, is that this is sexual assault, intimidation, rape is prevalent in our society. It's just, if you're feeling what I'm calling Me Too fatigue, it's because we've hit what's that?
Like an apex or something.
Yeah, exactly. Pay dirt. It's like a pay dirt is a good thing. Like when you're digging for gold, this is like a negative. When you hear pay dirt, you've hit like a whole bunch of gold. This is what we've hit. This is something we've been hiding and layering and trying to keep away from view for a very long time, which has allowed it to seep in every facet of our society. It affects men, women. It affects people of all different ages, races. It doesn't matter how high you get. These things can happen to you. And so I feel that a lot of people don't seem to recognize that why you might be like, it's everywhere, because it's literally everywhere. Yeah.
It's the lowest jobs. From the lowest jobs
to the higher
because that's another thing. I know a lot. I know Hollywood's getting a lot of shine, but there's a woman right now that works at the local gas station that's probably getting felt up, or some boy at some high school somewhere that's getting molested by a teacher or something like that. It's like, it happens at low regular people stuff. Like, folks just, because Hollywood, it's popular and these are celebrities, so it's getting seen. But there's some baseball player, that's playing rec league in like, middle school that's getting felt up right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so it happens to normal people.
And the Me Too idea is to make it known, so the next time somebody comes to you, you at least give them the benefit of the doubt and investigate. Yeah. And that is what's happening with Chris Hardwick. This is a harder stance I've ever seen. So AMC has suspended his show. He has a show called Talking with Chris Hardwick. And they move faster than I've ever seen.
They move fast. Because I was like, he's white.
Right. Exactly. He's white. It was like, they might do that to us, but they tend. And that's why I thought that was important to build up who he was, just in case you didn't know who he was. Yeah. This is a guy who's been, I didn't know he worked on MTV. He hosted MTV Single Out. And so I didn't realize that's who he was.
He's been on a lot of stuff.
He's been in the industry for a long time. Yes. And he's been doing a lot of different stuff.
And he's got some clout.
He's definitely got clout. And so for him to be suspended, and then it is Chris that supposedly decided that he was going to step aside for San Diego Comic-Con. Again, the whole reason why we let you know what a big nerd he was, for you to step down from moderating and being a panelist on panels at San Diego Comic-Con, which has like the big nerd, like 250,000 people coming, you know what I'm saying? This is a big and stuff. Huge and so deal. I'm hoping that they do their due diligence and stuff like that. At the end of it, should he be innocent, I'm more than happy to say, hey, let dude back in, even though I'm not a big fan. However, I like the fact that they're taking the time to say, like, AMC took a better stance than the Nerdist did. The Nerdist, which he founded, gave a that they were horrified by his behavior, his alleged behavior. They didn't say alleged, but it's alleged still. Yeah, it's still alleged. And they scrubbed him away from the website. That was a bit very surprising.
That surprised me, because that's some stuff they do to black people.
Right. But it also, in my mind, said, you make that company. They know you better than AMC does. Ooh. And stuff. And I know from this is all hearsay that Nerdist is a very white bro. Yeah. Nerdist is and it's very rough on women to work there. Yeah. I've heard some
Nerdist
stuff.
Is a very I'd say Nerdist is probably like a very white frat kind of atmosphere. Like white boy frat type of atmosphere. Now, I've never worked at Nerdist. I know people that have worked at Nerdist, have worked in Nerdist. We've talked. It has like a very kind of bro culture, kind of like, like Marqueeda was saying.
It's rough to breathe if you're female. If you're proud, as I like to say, vajayjay owner. Well, you don't even have to be proud. You can just be like a regular woman, and it's like everything. I just need some space, and for you not to reduce me to my vajayjay. But as Evans was pointing out, that NBC has yet to decide whether or not they're going to fire Hardwick from the network meme show The Wall.
Oh,
but
yeah.
notified press that they're investigating the situation. And that is really what the Me Too movement is asking for. Do your due diligence, but no, give me the benefit of the doubt. If she gets caught saying she's a lot, I think we also should let that fly too. But I feel like people give you that one story, and so let's talk about what Me Too isn't. And so I think earlier Evans pointed out that he said Me Too was developed as a movement in which people stood up to their abusers, not as being used as a punitive mechanism for disgruntled parties to exact revenge. Isn't, but I don't feel a lot. There's a lot of cases of that. What I feel like is that you push back or something because you're seeing it everywhere. Because I hear that. This pushback. Man, girls are going to do this. And I feel like it's the assumption where if I was in power and I was being a dirtbag and you got power, you would do what I would do. And I just would say, yes, I've heard some stories. I'm sure there are some cases like this where women are doing that. It's like, are there false cases of like accusations of rape? Sure they are, but how many of those to how many of the real ones exist?
It's just that's what's
killing me.
It's just that it's just because like Aziz Ansari situation, because now we're getting into a lot of, and kind of like Max was alluding to, we're getting into a lot of situations, and I'll go back to Chris in a second.
Aziz one was not clean cut.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was very murky.
But it was played as if it was clean cut.
It was clean cut.
And I felt bad for him.
Exactly.
What I mean is, like, when it's murky.
Requires, the thing is, that required a lot of nuance, and we aren't there yet.
Yeah.
We're on step 1. That's like a step 7 situation of where some signs been taken, maybe a little bit more initiative, like, I felt like both parties should have had a lot more going on there, but it was murky, and we just haven't gotten to the place, and I'm not sure if we're heading towards a place where we really could dissect that, because first we need to get through some shit like what's okay, what's not okay. Should you? Because to me, it almost fell into nice guy territory.
Well, the reason I eased up of Aziz is because in the story that she told, he stopped.
Right.
Like, he didn't press the issue.
Right.
So I'm like, if he's willing to stop, then he's not that bro type dude. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's not a bro type dude. And I know
he's
the
not.
flip
He's
side,
not that.
the
problem was Brock Turner or whatever. He's not
right. But that is the problem. It's like, if you see it as, it's like all the different ways you can throw racism. It's it goes into shades. And then if you're feeling like there's going to be some kind of consequence to you saying, well, let me
then easing out.
And easing out and stuff like that. So she made, in that same story, she said she was a little intimidated. She was frightened. I said, well, girl, I get that. Like me, I'm a fighter. Yeah. And I've watched both men and women, like, stay in situations, and I was like, I don't understand it. Like, I understand that you think some physical harm is about to come to you, but it's going to happen anyway if you just stand there. So I'm a fighter. So I had a problem with that too, because I'm like, all right, this is uncomfortable. This is weird.
Because see, the way I read it was, we're both kind of vibing. We're kissing, rubbing stuff. Right. And then he was like, and then it got a part where it was like they were both feeling weird, and he was like, all right, let's just quit. And she was like, all right, cool.
But then you sit there naked, I was like, and I know I've like had girlfriends confiding in me. I was like, girl, what were you thinking? I don't know. I just didn't want to make him angry. And I was like, okay, I guess. And I'm like, I get frustrated with that. But there's a lot of violence that happens towards women. And like, that's the problem. Like, we weren't there. That was super murky. Like, I don't want him to lose anything from it because it was so murky. But
because it seemed like a situation where
definitely was like a need
it was
that we
all
needed,
good
like,
for a while, and then maybe he stuck his finger somewhere and it wasn't cool, and then it kind of like, and this is just being funny, but they were vibing, rubbing and stuff. He put his finger somewhere. She was like, "Whoa, it's not cool," and then he was like, "All right, let's wrap it up."
Yeah, exactly.
That's at least that's how I took it.
It went
because we weren't there. But...
Exactly, we weren't there, and it just kept going back and forth. So it was just a weird, awkward, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I didn't agree with either of the party. I didn't think it was. I think it was a bad situation. Ultimately, I remember my take on it was, this is the problem where dialogue, like people want to have sex, but they're awkward about it. And me, okay. I will say this, I'm a boss when it comes to sex. I'm like,
I'm a boss.
I'm a boss. I'm a boss about communication. Let me back it up on myself. Like, I am like, I went in this conversation. Check. I was like, if someone asked, hey, what do you want me to do? What you want to do? What are we doing? I'm
willing to do 1 through 3. 4 through 6 is no. 7 is optional if you can kiss.
I think you're too old. This totally relaxed. We're too old, and at the time this happened because this was a story that had happened a while back.
Yeah, so
that was another.
And that's another thing that people get angry about.
That time that passes.
Yeah.
But we also have to realize, like,
people are scared. Sometimes
it's embarrassing, but you might need to hear it. Like, I'm glad the story came out. Because it's not like I want to like dig to do. I feel like there was something to be learned from that, and that was the thing I did applaud Aziz for. Like he looked like he like got it, and he kind of did the right thing. He was like, I'm not gonna like try to fight this. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, you know what? It was a weird moment. I learned a lot from it. I've grown since then, and I was good with that because it wasn't any clear wrong he's doing.
Because we've all, and I know this sounds funny, but we've all been in like sexual situations. Where you might be trying something you saw on TV and you were like, oh, I can't do that.
Right. And so the thing is, I think like, especially if you don't get to know each other, like people have casual sex. Casual sex is cool. I'm like, I'm like super sex positive, you guys don't know. So I'm like here for you guys living your best life and having sex.
Living your best life.
Really though. And having like good sex. Like, the saddest part of that retail was like nobody was enjoying themselves. Nobody had fun. That was like the weakest night of sex ever.
She probably felt weird. Mm-hmm. He probably felt like he was trying too hard. And then they both ended up being like, what are we doing? I don't know. And I feel like I'm trying to lead you to water. And you're feeling like weird and none of us, this isn't sexy anymore.
Exactly, and then nobody takes hints, and like people are like, well, like he was like, well, she just should have said something, and then it's like, well, he should have took my hint, and I was like, why don't you just talk to each other?
But to a certain degree, I understand that's not how sex really works. You know what I'm saying? You're like, you're together, you're touching, you're rubbing, then you're naked and the sun comes up. That's how it happens.
I challenge our viewers to be the change they want to see and talk to your partner.
And have a love contract.
No love contract, just talk it out. I mean, sexy. I mean, this is a problem of a lack of foreplay because from the recount, it sounded like they went just straight into it.
Yeah, they just want to go straight to sex.
Straight to sex.
Supposed to rub a little bit.
Exactly. You know, if you did some foreplay, maybe some sex, you can find out like, oh, you like this.
Yeah, you know, play a little.
What about up here and do this? And anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Max. You know what I'm saying? It has to be organic. It has to be like, you know, you play a little Peebo or something, and then you like,
exactly. You know, and so if you just run in and you're just trying to smash, some things might get lost.
Especially with a girl that's not a jump off.
Right.
And she didn't seem to be a jump off.
Right. So, she wasn't a jump off. Yeah. I was like, sex has to naturally pop, and it does need to be an open dialogue where I can say I don't like something, but it doesn't mean I want to stop having sex. Yeah. I should be okay to say I don't want to do X. Like, especially if you're having a casual encounter. Okay, I gotta leave some shit on the shelf for the person who wants to put a ring on it. I'm sorry. I believe in it. Some things just need to be committed relationships just because they're a little bit more dangerous to do. It's a little bit more involved. Like, you know, if you're doing butt sex, ladies or gentlemen, whatever you like.
You know what I'm saying?
Butt sex for me is like reserved for like the boo. The boo thing, because there's a lot involved in that. There's a lot. Come on. It's like, anyway, but back to Chris Hardwick. So I'm cool with us having a dialogue, and I'm glad that they're investigating. Like, everybody's doing what they should do.
Now, can I talk about my investigation?
What's your investigation?
All right, I've investigated. I don't think Chris Hardwick did it. Here's why. All right, now this ain't science. This is not science, but he came out and he definitively said that he didn't do it. Now, when we look at guys that did do it, they'll never say jack, or if they say something, has nothing to do with the encounter. Here's what I'm talking about. Hey, you got Harvey Weinstein. He ain't say nothing, so you know he did it. Then you have Eddie Long, Bishop Eddie Long. He came out talking about David and Goliath. They ain't had nothing about doing molesting boys, so you know he did it. Then you got Kevin Spacey. He talking about, well, I live my life as a gay man. Then you know he did it. All right. Chris Hardwick came out and he was like, I did not do that. Yes, we had yes, we had a relationship where we argued with each other, but I did not sexually abuse her. So that's how you know he ain't do it.
He didn't do it. Even though he had admitted like 10 years earlier, he kind of did.
All right, I said it wasn't science. I said it wasn't science, but
and he went to court. He was like, "Nah, not guilty, not guilty, Your Honor.
I'm innocent. I'm innocent."
He was real bold about it. So
he said, "I'm going to court.
I go to court.
You know what? I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna go to court." See,
she was here for the pudding pop.
See,
you open that door.
You know what? You know what?
That door.
I'm gonna keep it real. This is what I think happened with a lot of Bill Cosby's joints. I think Bill used that old joint where it's like, "Yo, girl, I'm gonna get you on this show. I'm gonna get you on that movie. I'm gonna get you on this."
Bill Cosby.
And then, y'all wrong. I think he straight up was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you this modeling joint. I'm gonna get you on this movie. I'm gonna get." Then a couple times and he disappeared. You know what I'm saying? And people was mad. And then also, I think in that time, from knowing older black men, in that time, what people did was they got high and they had fun.
I gotta ask, Max Evans, when did you go and find these texts? So he says that Chris released text messages that elaborate her story. The texts are online.
Oh, what?
Okay, I have a problem. Okay, I didn't plan on talking about him, and I still want to talk about him. But the rap got murdered.
Oh,
okay.
XXX Tentacion.
Right.
I think.
I need to see that because some people defending his honor, I really warped what people are doing. It's very sad that he passed.
Yes.
He got, being mobbed and murdered is
not a good way to go.
It's not a good way to go out. And while you're dying, having people trying to go viral is sucky. But let's not pretend this dude was like an awesome individual.
Yeah.
The problem with dying young sometimes is that you don't get to change the way people saw you. It doesn't just because you die tragically doesn't mean it erases the fact that fact that you hurt people. Yeah. And so but anyway, why I was bringing him up is that people defending him and saying that, y'all shouldn't be bringing up his past. And I said, well, people who have been abused are know people have been abused. Maybe they're triggered by all the praise he's getting. And so people were coming with receipts saying, none of that happened. None of that happened. And so I remember seeing somebody like, look this. And I was like, the way the pictures were taken, I had no idea whose records they were showing.
Yeah. Now, he does say that Chris Hardwick's texts have been put online that don't corroborate what he said.
I read that part, but I want to know where they came from because that was my point in my story is that people produce these documents because the accusation was that he beat his ex who was pregnant. And then they said, no, she wasn't pregnant. Look at these documents. I was like, well, who's documents?
But did he still beat her?
Right. So that was another point.
So did he still beat her?
Does that change the fact? So he definitely beat her because
she wasn't pregnant, but did he beat her?
Eye surgery and the gold. And what was so cool about it is this dude's buying. I think he had a house, a $1.4 million house. He had the Lamborghini with the suicide doors, but she has to do a GoFundMe to fix her eye from him hitting her so much and with so much fuss it messed up the nerve so it fractured around the eye. And she needed to save her eye and she did GoFundMe, which he then donated to. But then GoFundMe took it down because his stands were saying it was fake because it was slandering their fave rapper's name. So GoFundMe suspended it and said, you got to show us proof, which she did provide, and they reinstated it. So it totally backed it up because they actually took it down. She had to come back and prove it. So this is a pretty shitty situation. But if depending on who's giving you the information, you got to be careful. Be careful because the stands literally got her very legit GoFundMe taken down because it was making their favorite rapper look bad. So I'm pretty sure that Chris Hardwick has stands of the same kind. Yeah, he has some stands that he definitely has some stands that were coming out mad early on some like, there's no way he could have did this, and she stayed in the relationship. Now there are at least from what I've read and what I've seen, it does look like a situation where there was a couple that had a bad relationship. Most definitely. Just period, a bad relationship. Most definitely. But he does come back and deny the sexual abuse. So that's where we need an actual investigation. Right. People that are his stands can't say that it did not happen. We got to actually investigate. Now, of course, this gets into he said, she said, because none of us were there in the bedroom. It's not like they have a videotape. But, you know what I'm saying? This is where we got to get that investigation and take some time, which is where a lot of stands are upset because he's getting all this stuff taken away from him and the investigation isn't done. But that's how investigations work. If you get arrested right now, guess what? They're going to take like your passport and they're going to take things away from you until they're done figuring out whether you're a criminal or not, and then they'll give you your stuff back. So this isn't really out of the ordinary for him to lose, like, the show, or them to put the show on hold, or for him to take him off of SDCC, or to take his name. Now, taking his name off as founder is kind of weird. I was surprised. I don't think they took him off as founder. They scrubbed any other mention of him. Okay. They changed facts. It's just usually, your old company, might post stuff that you're doing and stuff like that. So they just took it out and stuff like that. But that stuff is normal, you know what I'm saying? Until the investigation is over. Even to clarify what he meant, because he says that Chris released text messages that don't corroborate her story, but I'm looking at the text and a review of it, and these are texts about 7 months after the breakup of her begging to come back to him. And so how does this not corroborate her story? Because we all know what happens to abused people, right? If you're really abused, it's like Stockholm syndrome. That's why it has a name where you have learned. I mean, they're in a relationship for, I think, so 4 years. So she wants to be back because it's kind of like it's familiar. It's what she knows. You get caught in a vicious cycle. You've learned to deal with it and survive it. And when you don't have it, some people express that it's a way of feeling. There's an emotional... there's a dependency, emotional dependency. And despite this person being violent to you, sexually abusing you, like they have tons of cases of this. That's why it has a name for the syndrome, Stockholm syndrome, that you'll want to be back. Actually, it was shared when the story was really popping on Twitter. Women were sharing like, I beg to get back with my ex that abused me. So that's not uncommon. So she cheated on Chris. Chris dumped her. Her relationship fell with a new guy, and she went back to him. I don't know how this proves that he was abusive, though. Like, it's clearly a shitty relationship. We just stated that, like, shitty conversation. But this to me is a misdirect. Because this does not get at this doesn't prove that he wasn't abusive either emotionally or sexually. It just sounds like they had a really shitty, douchey relationship, and her cheating on him does make her like a terrible girlfriend, and like just a terrible girlfriend. Not good, but at the same time, it doesn't disprove that he didn't do that. My only issue with this is like. Cheating on your spouse is not illegal in most states, anyway. Well, cheating on your spouse is illegal in some states. Actually, it's illegal in some states. Wow. It's not enforced, but it is illegal to do. But cheating on your girlfriend isn't. So, but beating or forcing them to have sex or emotionally abusing them isn't even. I don't even know if that's covered by law, but the sexual abuse is. And so that's against the law.
I would say,
not saying they're great people. I'm just saying one might have broke the law and the other one didn't. They both were being shitty, and one crossed the line by breaking the law.
Yeah, and because I'm gonna say this, I don't know Chris personally. I know people that have known him or do know him. I hope this ain't true. Right. But then that creates a whole nother situation where it's like, dag, Shorty went this far. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that, even though we've seen situations where women have gone this far, but I hope it's not true.
And again, those situations are so rare. Like, I literally feel like the same couple of cases always come out as the proof.
Well, there's every couple of weeks or months or whatever, we'll get like the girl that did the thing with the police officer, right? Or like there was that girl at that church. Thing with the police officer. I can't remember where it was. You can drop it in the chat. She said a police officer threatened her and her fiance, and then was like saying that he wanted to have sex with her. He would shoot her her fiance, like this crazy thing, and it was found out to be fake. And it was like,
a perfect case. Okay, I'll give you an example that is very common on false reports, and this is along racial lines. So I feel like I'll get all the brothers on my side on this one. You ain't gotta worry about getting the brothers. Exactly. But along racial lines, white womanhood is put on a pedestal, mostly to check us. And so there have been multiple cases of black women. There was a recent one where a white woman accused 2 black men of raping her, and it turned out to be false. And she was really counting on that whole like black-white dynamic for them not to dig too much into it. Yeah. And so there are false cases with those kind of motivations of, I just want to get at people. I just want to do these awful things to people. People have died behind that. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying that there's a lot more real accusations than there are false. And sometimes I at least do the due diligence of investigating, and that's what they're doing in this situation. Somebody asked us if we believe if his career is over. I don't think so.
I don't think so. It depends on what they find out after they investigate, but I don't think his career is over. I think he did the right thing by coming out and being like, look, we had a bad relationship, but I didn't do this, and he was straight up. Right. And then he was like, look, I'm gonna let y'all investigate. Y'all can do y'all thing. Right. And so I think he did the best he can do by being blindsided. You know what I'm saying? So he did
so I don't destroy his name again.
Max Evans.
No, Master or not.
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz. It could fall into another Aziz thing where it's vague. Yeah. She might not have wanted to. They wanted to. They're in a relationship, and he crossed the line one night. Or in her mind, and that's all it really takes. Yeah. To cross the line with somebody, and they didn't want that. Yeah.
And then also a situation where if you cross the line and she doesn't say anything, and you're thinking, oh, well, this is cool. We did it. Mm-hmm. And she ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, it could be glory. It could be glory.
Now, is that Screws? Screws, you know what? What you said is very interesting because my wife brought up something when I can't remember whether it was Gwyneth Paltrow, and I know we're getting long for time. Sorry guys, we are real long for time. We're gonna wrap it up in 2 seconds. But my wife said something about, I can't remember if it was Gwyneth Paltrow or if it was Selma Hayek. One of them came out and they were like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, something happened. And I've got the strength now to say it. And at first I was just like, man, Dad, you know what I'm saying? She's coming up and, she's, being an example. And Lisa was like, but isn't this messed up as an example for all the other women that you allowed him to, to touch and all this stuff? She was like, you got your shine on and then you got through the door. You did your thing. Now you want to come back, forgetting all the girls that continued to get, molested, touched, raped, whatever, during your rise to fame. Now you got your fame. Now your career on the downturn. Now you want to be up like, oh, I was touched too. And I never looked at it like that until I was like, you know what? Because, Selma Hayek's career, I won't say it's over. I'm not trying to say Selma's career is over. She's still acting and everything, but it's not where it was. So to say that she kind of like Gwyneth had her career, Angelina Jolie or any of these women kind of had their career while knowing
all the successful women who are stepping up.
But what I'm saying is like it's kind of like when I can't remember the Rose McGowan. Mm-hmm. She was like, all of Hollywood knew, and y'all kept letting these girls have this stuff. It's like trying to. It's a weird. You get into a weird place where it's like I'm taking my power back. But I also continued to like go to events and stuff where I knew this guy was doing something, never said something. And even like people like James Gunn, the director of the Guardians movies, Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, I would just tell people personally. And it's like, well, dude, like, doesn't that sort of make you some of the problem? And not saying that James was out there raping chicks or something. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is like his silence, in effect, kind of assisted in the empowerment to do that. Maybe not. Maybe that's not the word.
No.
Maybe empowerment's not the word.
Your silence does allow the behavior to continue. Most definitely. How I challenge that is, when do people make changes then? If it's always going to be, well, why didn't you say something 2, 3, say it happened. Let's do days instead of years. And something pops off 2 weeks ago, and I wait 1 week to tell you, and you say, well, why didn't you tell me 3 days ago? Why didn't you tell me 2 days ago? We also have to see people are people, and there's consequences to being a whistleblower.
Yeah. There
are consequences.
Yes.
So if you're telling somebody to choose between eating, you're literally asking people like to turn their backs on like their dream, or if they're in mid-career to stop eating. Like if you've been doing this for 10 years and you find out, should I stop working on Hollywood? Because it takes a lot of people to change the thing. I will not excuse it. I am with you. I am saying this should have been done sooner than later, but I would rather have those people do it now.
Period. Yeah.
Do it. Period. Yeah. Than not do it and say, let's never let this happen again.
I don't think Lisa's problem was that they were coming out. No. I think Lisa's problem is that they're trying to act like, oh, I want to medal now, because that's the Hollywood.
No, I agree.
Hollywood has been patting itself on the back.
I agree. They should be patting themselves on the back.
Hollywood has been acting like they fixed molestation.
I also don't want to do, because there's memes of like going around when this first when Harvey Weinstein went down. There were Meryl Streep. Is that how you say Meryl Streep?
Yeah, Meryl Streep.
And Oprah. Pictures going around. Even a guy was doing graffiti campaign. So that first award show, I think it was the Oscar or something, and they were all wearing black in solidarity. They had posted pictures. They did mural pictures, guerrilla style, all over Hollywood, like in the prominent areas even. And he, this right-wing, alt-right dude, took credit for it, that he wanted to make it aware that, she's been in Hollywood forever. And she knows this forever. Yeah. Why didn't she say anything?
Because Rose said that, and I didn't think about it until Rose said it. And I was like, yeah, it's not like these people ain't know.
Right. It's not like these people didn't know. Now, I want to know her why. And she hasn't given us that. Yeah. I need to know.
We probably ain't never going to get it.
We're never going to get it.
We ain't never going to get that.
But I feel like there's situations. We've been in this situation. Yeah. Why don't you roll on the people in your neighborhood? Yeah. You probably don't want to deal with that kind of heat. You know?
There's two things. There's one is Hollywood and many jobs, depending on the level you're trying to get to, works on desperation. They know by the time that you get to a certain level in your career, you're desperate or tired. You're like, dang, I've been grinding 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years to get to this point. Yeah, and this person is the gateholder to get past this step that I've been working 10 years to get to. Can I put my morals down for 2 seconds to get past this gate? And unfortunately, because we're human.
I mean,
you know
are
what I'm saying?
We asking the same thing though? With a lot of different people, because Hollywood has a lot of problems. They have issues. They have a race issue.
Yeah, I'm just saying with this one by itself.
I was like, because I've been like thinking about this a lot. I was like, because like we want all the black people in Black Hollywood to like step it up and like keep that door open and do this. Yeah. But should we wait? Should they wait until they're in a better position to do that, or should they do it from the get-go, even if that means their careers, and a lack of people who are willing to stand up? So if you get rid of those people early enough in the game, so maybe a better way of going about this, if Meryl Streep, Oprah has said this at phases in their career where they didn't have the clout, the influence, and they
would people listen?
Would they listen? That's a good question.
Yeah.
But would they be here? And then who would usher in times up? Because the people leading this is Meryl Streep, is the Oprahs, Tina Fey. If they had rolled on this earlier in their careers, they'd probably been shown the door, which is sad. Yeah. And in their lives.
Or it might be kind of like Corey Feldman, where ain't nobody never listened to him.
Right.
Like nobody listens to nobody has never listened to Corey Feldman. Corey
Feldman's been actually blowing the whistle on this
for a long time.
For a very long time. And so I do think timing is everything. You have to really get like.
So I guess Harvey was a chess piece where it was like, okay, now we can go.
Right. You know pushing him out of the way and getting him on the office. Yeah. Opened it. We all kind of know how revolutions start. It's a long build up.
Yeah, it's a long build up to that one piece.
And maybe there were people who are burgeoning. Like, I feel like I'm trying to get at something that is my thing. Like, again, back with if they're shown the door because they stand up for their morals, right?
Yeah.
And they're not there to be the greats they are right now. I mean, again, to me, I felt like it's a take it down from the inside. If enough of us get in, if enough of us get in, maybe we can change these things. Yeah. And now I feel like women now coming into Hollywood, black actors, producers, writers who now get to stand on Oprah's shoulders.
True.
Because Ava DuVernay, she don't play. She don't mince words.
Yeah, and
she's coming in.
What is it? The young lady that she let speak at I can't remember the young lady she let speak at Cannes. No, the funny thing is that speech that she gave at Cannes, she had this line in there about everybody in this room has been here all these years. Harvey was here. Everybody was just like, that's Harvey. You know what I'm saying? So she made sure to put that line in there because Hollywood is, and that's why I take issue with Hollywood patting itself on the back.
Right.
Because I'm like, Hollywood's like, we fixed it.
That. Like, exactly. Like we're now in it because Max even says silence is complicit. It most definitely is. However, I would like to, that's my only nugget. Like, if you say something, you get disposed of, you're not there, there would be no Ava DuVernay to let that woman onto the stage.
True.
There would be all the ladies.
So it's like you almost have to play this weird chess game. Even like these young ladies, maybe like Gwyneth Paltrow or Selma Hayek, had to do with their own careers, where it's like, you do have this one piece where it's like, look, bottom line, man or woman, you have to decide, are you going to stand up for what you believe in and your morals, or are you going to take the money?
Right.
There is that one piece. But then there's this piece is like, am I going to play this chess game and go through this experience to get higher to then take this person? So it's like this, it's this weird.
There's a lot of people who get in these industries, and every industry has had this, where you've had somebody who took a lot of bullshit. And I'm not saying that they did this purposely. Yeah. I know Ava's doing that. Yeah. Issa Rae's doing that. Lena Waithe is doing that, where they took a lot of bullshit, a lot of bumps, and now they're turning around and like, we're busting the door wide open. I'm about to make so many changes because I'm tired of dealing with the bullshit and stuff like that. So it's a buildup, I think, of if you say, hey, if I stick through this, this is you're counting all the stuff. This is fucked up. This is messed up. This is messed up. This is messed up. But I know if I say something now, I'm done, and nobody will be there to help them. way
and then the guys that are doing these things are guys that you.
Because there's pictures of Oprah and Harvey Weinstein together that they posted everywhere.
It's not a good look.
It's such a bad look.
Yeah, it's a bad. Because I mean, of course, if Thought Crimes is still in there, or people that know Thought Crimes, she was like, "Time's up." Like, I know they love doing it, but you know, it wasn't a good look after she gave
casting couch culture. Okay, I'm done. What?
Oh yeah.
What is that? Your thing with Screws. I keep coming back to this. It says, "Tell all abused actresses to give back all the accolades won from the roles degradingly got." And so you're telling me you want victims.
That's a weird
victims because they decided to work through their bullshit. It's like you're getting abused at work, and you're saying, "Well, I see
sort of where you're trying to go, but it's not exactly a one-to-one comparison. The kind of
where is he going with that?
What he's saying is kind of like how people wanted to take back Bill Cosby's honorary degrees, and it's like, well, are you going to give back that money that he donated to you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I see kind of where he's trying to make that connection, but I don't think that's a fair.
I don't think so. I didn't want to take.
Because the bottom line is she still did the work and she didn't say that she regrets the role. She regrets what she had to do
to get
with
the
a certain
role.
person
like, she shouldn't have had to suck dick to get the role. I'm just gonna get to it. She shouldn't have had to suck dick to get the role.
But
she sucked the dick and got the role because that's the only way she could get the damn role. Don't blame her for having to suck his dick. Blame the dude for making her suck her dick. Like, I don't get your point. I really don't. Like, how are we blaming the victims for doing what they had to do to get what they thought they needed? It didn't make it right. It doesn't ever make it right you get pimped out or you get taken advantage of just because you gave in. You have choices. And the choices aren't as easy as everybody thinks it is. Well, you could go and get another job somewhere. Okay, so I miss out on my entire dream. How is that still not letting that dude win? How does the abuser still not win? If I change my entire dream and approach to life over this dude because I wasn't willing to suck his dick. No, I'm going to suck his dick. I'm going to get this role. I'm going to become fucking Oprah, and then I'm going to kick him the fuck out of his own industry. That's what I'm going to do. I'm bingeable. I'm for that long game.
It's a weird situation because, like I said, and the music industry is not unlike Hollywood, but Hollywood, the music industry, stuff like that, or even high-level corporate positions, they prey on desperation.
You're right.
They know you've been grinding 5, 10, 15 years to get here.
Right.
Just to get here. So now they know you're here, and you know you don't want to throw away. Because they know in that split second you're thinking, do I want to throw away all of my training, all of my theater experience, all of my small commercial roles, all of my big parts on TV.
Get classically trained to do this stuff, and so they got student loans. And we all know the student loan grind.
I'm in debt. I've been eating ramen all week. I got this role coming up. I know they about to give me this check for about $3 million. And there's the only thing between me and that check. But you know what I'm saying? It's like because they prey on that desperation.
It's life-changing money. Because if somebody gives you $250,000 for a role, you paying all your debt.
Let me tell y'all straight up. Watching right now, I get $250,000 right now. NERDSoul about to be on. Y'all think y'all getting content now? Bruh, look, I'm about to be live streaming on Twitch, video games. We're going to be playing old stuff like Donkey Kong Country, but still, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be playing old games like Sonic 2. We're going to be doing live streams like this. We're going to have a studio. Look, y'all going to be like, man, he stretched that $250,000 out. he stretched that joint out. He turned $250,000, make it look like $500,000.
Right.
Because look, we know how to make that money, stretch that money. Right. You know what I'm saying? We know how to hook up a bologna sandwich.
My point with that. I was like, I do think silence is complicit to a certain point, but if that person had like a goal in mind, because I've been there, I've worked at shitty places. I worked at places where people should have sued.
Yeah,
they should have done.
It's funny that people saying that is working at crappy jobs now.
Look, this was a crappy office job. Nobody famous. We weren't making that kind of cheddar. And I saw stuff go down in the office. I was like, you could sue and be set, right? Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, you should do that, because that was across the line, girl.
Yeah.
I said, shoot, you need me to be a witness, you let me know. I was like, but
I can be a witness for a thief.
Right. I mean, because that was the thing. And it's so weird, because another thing about that particular job is because it was such blatant abuse going around.
Wow.
I was like one of the newer people, and they're always like, Marqueeda, hey, why don't you go talk to the union rep? Because I would be passionate. I was like, why are you guys letting this happen? I'm being like, I'm not being complacent. I want to speak up. But you know what they were trying to do, right? They trying to set me up to do their work. So if anybody got fired, it'd be my ass, and they would have their job, and they would get something rolling. That's the catch-22 too. If you got to choose between you eating, paying your bills, what you going to do? And it's not always cut and dry. And I had to figure that out, that they were trying to set me up to be the person who blew that whistle. So I get kicked out, and I was like, I really needed my job. I was this close.
Because that's another thing.
To those streets.
Like, people know you need your job, and people know that you're desperate.
Right.
Because they know that roles, even though there's way more opportunity now, because of course we got like Amazon, Netflix, TBS, like cable's making, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Let me see.
But it's, they use that desperation, unfortunately, on these people that they know are hurting.
That out. He
know what I'm saying?
Max says, Max even says, chess, not checkers. I feel you. I was like, exactly.
Yeah, it's like
because life is a game. And like you sometimes, like we all have that fantasy of storming off on our job.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm a boss.
Out.
You can take your job and stuff when the sun don't shine.
Yeah,
but we all know that it doesn't work that way, because you don't need to call back for references even if you got another job.
The only way you going to storm off your job is if you get $250,000 get $250,000 in your pocket. Then you're going to be kicking trash cans over like, you can go where you need to go.
We're all a part of the world and stuff like that. So we don't have that luxury.
Yeah,
but to wrap it all back up, will Chris Hardwick live? Yeah, he will. Like
Chris gonna be all right.
He gonna be all right.
He gonna be all
right. But if people knew, because I mean, Nerdist kick dropped him so fast.
Yo, that joint happened quick.
It was so fast. Like the other,
they didn't even say something like, we gonna wait and see.
The other two places, like, we investigating, but your own company drop kicked
like,
you.
We out.
Because I feel like they like, if they investigate old dude,
yo, I'm telling you, the funny thing about this situation, if they've done to Chris Hardwick what you would expect something to be done to a black guy, or like, somebody black, where it's like, yo, this black dude did something, he gone. They gonna erase him from history.
Right.
Like, I was like, dang, they doing this stuff to Chris quick. I was like, man, it took like 2 days.
Right.
They was
but
not playing.
It's a new game ball.
Well, yeah,
like, people
because you don't want to look like the company, because all right, it's alleged right now, but say it turns out to be true. You don't want to be the company that backed the sexual abuser guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So they want to distance themselves.
To just investigate. Like, you're doing your due diligence. Like, you're not saying it's true. You're not blaming the guy. His stuff is suspended. And unfortunately, it came awfully close to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, and I think
I would rather want my name cleared and just stay low for now. I'm like, well, let them investigate. Let the truth come out.
Do some depositions or whatever. And, you be good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I think, should go. Right. But guys, we gotta wrap it up.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. We did have some technical difficulties.
Yes, and we stayed like an extra 30 minutes or so. So we gave you time. So guys,
coming down here.
Oh man, you see, you didn't the sexual abuser. You're just waiting for all the facts. Basically, waiting for facts, all that good stuff. So guys, thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for watching. We know that the stream was blocked, so messed up, so there's a part 1 and part 2, but the podcast will be up in the morning. Anyway, guys, we'll be here next Tuesday
Yeah.
Not Tuesday after next.
Tuesday after next.
Which is, I don't know what day that is. I have no idea. It's like the 3rd. I think the 3rd.
It's probably.
Yeah, the 3rd. It'll be
3rd.
July 3rd. We'll be back talking culture, Twitter, all that stuff. Before we bounce, Marqueeda, where can the wonderful people find you?
Oh, I am at LaStar.next everywhere on the interwebs.
And you can find me, NERDSoul. That's right, one word, NERDSoul. All on the internet. Just search me up. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit that thumbs down. But leave a comment of why you left the thumbs down, because I think that's kind of funny. Anyway, holler at us. We'll holler at you. Until next time, this is us saying peace. Oh, man. I love that.